Yes, America won independence by being the scrappy underdogs in a hard-fought war, but in the end our Independence Day really just celebrates a particularly righteous breakup letter. But France's National Day celebrates that time they literally tore down a castle. It all started that time everyone got really mad about a finance minister being fired. Well, actually it started with revolutionary discontent among increasingly powerful industrial bourgeoisie that developed in response to a mismanaged economy in the wake of a massively expensive participation in the 7 Years' War and the American Revolution, all exacerbated by centuries of consolidation of power around an autocratic monarchy. But this is just a web video and not a PhD course, so let's skip to... The Estates General, an assembly representing the nobility, the clergy, and the common folk, had been convened for the first time in 175 years by King Louis XVI to address the economic crisis. Incensed upon discovering the convention would vote in a way that gave the nobility and the clergy an advantage, the commoners walked away and created their own separate assembly. In response, King Louis physically locked the National Assembly out of the meeting hall, so they convened on his tennis court and swore an oath to continue meeting until a constitution is established, effectively declaring the authority of the state with the people, not the king. So what about this castle? Back in Paris, citizens were intoxicated with liberty and enthusiasm, as François Mignot writes, which wasn't helped by a speedy buildup of royal troops in both Versailles and Paris. Which brings us to Jacques Necker, the finance minister perceived as sympathetic to the common people, whose reports to the king back in 1781 is what alerted the public to France's financial state. Never mind that it was mostly made up. So Louis sacks Necker on July 11th, what Parisians took as a sign of a conservative coup against the National Assembly. Dissidents call for the crowds to arm themselves against the largely mercenary royal army, with radical journalist Camille Desmoulins rallying the crowd with the cry, "One resource is left, to take arms." On the morning of July 14th, alienated from their commanders and with local ties in Paris, many of the French guards defect to the rioters, forming a bourgeois militia. The resulting militia raided the Hôtel des Invalides to gather arms, but lacked ammunition, and soon turned to the Bastille, the 400-year-old fortress and prison that had long been a symbol of royal power. Soon roughly 900 people had gathered outside of it, compared to 114 soldiers defending it. Fearing a massacre, Commander Delaunay attempted to negotiate, but soon the rioters are streaming into the courtyards and fighting broke out between the forces. Finally, after the rioters were reinforced with even more defecting French guards, Delaunay capitulated and the gates were open. The storming of the Bastille quickly became a symbol of the legitimacy of the revolution. Though the newly revolutionary government quickly ordered the demolition of the tower, its symbolic beginning of the revolution became immortalized. Every year since 1880, the French government has conducted what is now the oldest and largest military parade in Europe.